So hello from Green-Mopeds in London. So today we are taking out the newly arrived Vmoto stash on its first little test ride that we're going to do. These arrived last week. We're now in the first week of September. Let's just go back over the Vmoto lineup and tell you where it fits. Obviously this is now their flagship bike. It has overtaken the TC Max in terms of performance and everything like that. The TC Max was the UK's best-selling electric motorbike, and obviously what Vmoto are doing are sort of upping their game, bringing out a bike with a lot more power actually, and more speed, and sort of price-wise are placing it well under £7,000. And I think you're getting quite a lot for your money compared to something like a Zero, which is basically the next category up. Obviously Zeros, you can't really compare power and all that sort of stuff, but you know, this is a 75 mile an hour bike. It's got 14 and a half or 15 kilowatts, depending who you read, of power, which is 19 horsepower. That's maximum power. It's got 9 kilowatts of nominal power, which is still 12 horsepower. And really, the bikes around this sort of £6,500–7,000 that are in the UK you can actually buy are now basically this one or the Naxeon from Naxeon, imported by Horwin. Which is obviously a very different sort of looking bike, but that's sort of getting onto this sort of price and power and performance and everything like that. So obviously you can see what I've done it. Interestingly, I would have to say, as a dealer, inquiries for the TC Max have definitely tailed off since this bike was announced. Many more sales of the Hunter Pro and the Wanderer Pro. But TC Max, now this one's around, inquiries have really fallen by the wayside. So we stopped for a sec. I'm obviously going to stop to do a speed test, but as you can see, going around the dash, we have a reverse, which is the first thing for Vmoto. Very clear dash. Obviously it's got, goes black if you're in bright light and all that sort of stuff, or nighttime rather. Rev counter, state of charge. An interesting little indication down there of a secondary battery. So, as you are no doubt aware, many of these bikes, they actually have another battery that is not used to run the bike. It is used to do things like open the lid, respond to the key fob, and all that sort of stuff. So this one has got one of those under the lid. So yeah, 14.4 kilowatts max, 9 kilowatts nominal. So if you think about it, the TC Max was 5 kilowatt max. So they've obviously increased a lot power over the TC Max. Other bikes, not motorbikes, other than the Naxeon, are in this sort of category. You're talking about the Zeeho AEAS. That's really only one of the few bikes that we've got that goes over 10 kilowatts. So there aren't too many, you know, in the sub-zero category, which is essentially what we are talking about here. So, some of the other differences over at TC Max. Fixed battery. There's been sort of conflicting conflicting information about some of the stats on this bike. I saw one dealer mentioning that it had 2 batteries. I mean, you could say technically that's true because it's got that little one under the lid, but it's a fixed battery, single 74 volt, not 72 volt, which is what some people are reporting, and 97 amp hours, not 100 amp hours. So anyway, the net 74 volt, 97 amp hours is 7.1 kilowatts. Okay, so if you compare that, I mean, there aren't too many bikes that have got that amount of battery capacity. And when you get into the higher battery capacities, you are literally having to go for a fixed battery. There's no way you can make, you know, that amount of battery capacity and make it removable. It'll be too heavy. You'd have to use a lot of the space just to fit the battery in. So it's almost by definition, when you get to these bigger bikes, you are in a fixed battery. The Horwin CR6 was obviously fixed battery when that was around. Naxeon is also fixed battery. So if you are not able to have a fixed battery bike, then unfortunately this one probably is not for you. Well, we're talking about batteries, so some interesting claims for range. 100 plus has been quoted, but normally, as I've said before, when they quote these ranges, they are doing it at 25 kilometers an hour on a warm day. I mean, we're at 21 centigrade today, but on a warm day with a very light rider, 75 kilo rider, let's say. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm 83 kilos, I think. It's not that warm. It's warm enough, but yeah, it won't be doing that sort of range. You know, if you're going to get 60 out of it, you should be happy, I would say. I mean, you can do the maths and work out the maximum at the maximum speed, but obviously that's not how you're going to be riding. So it should do more than a CR6 did, but then it's consuming more energy than a CR6 did. So normally I reckon these all things net out to be about 55 to 60 miles. So if that's okay for you, then all good. The other interesting thing about it is that it doesn't have Type 2 charging by default, as in it doesn't have a Type 2 adapter. It has a 20 amp charger, so we can go into the debate about how can you have a 20 amp charger off of a 13 amp plug, but if you actually do the maths, that is possible. Out of a 240 socket anyway. So 20 amp hour charging, and that will give you a charge from flat in 5.5 hours. So obviously you could ride to work, charge it during the day, ride it home, etc, etc. Get a tank full of free energy, if you like, and then that will suit you. Just to add in a little bit, how much does it cost to charge? So if you think about it, 7.1 kilowatts. If you look on your electricity bill, and you see your price per kilowatt, which will be probably, let's say worst case 50p, that's 50p times 7, £3.50. That's what it's going to cost you to charge this thing up. And it shouldn't be 50p anymore, I don't think. So that's the sort of price you're going to be paying to charge this thing up. Okay. So let's say it's going to be 55 to 60 mile range. And it obviously goes a lot faster than pretty much every other bike we do, actually, to be honest. Again, while we're stopped, just more around the dash. So you've got trip counter, odometer, time, revs, your modes are here. Okay, there is actually a boost mode, which we're going to check out. Then you've got horn, silent indicators again, cruise control, and an interesting idea on full beam. So this is your full beam switch down here. The way to turn on full beam is to actually flick that switch forward, but it also doubles up as the flasher. Okay, so if you want to flash someone, obviously that needs to be, headlights need to be off, which sort of makes logical sense, but it's just an interesting place to put it, I think. So there it is there, that's the flasher there. Okay, speedo set gets you into the menu system, which we'll probably show you more in the static review. Keyless, as in it's you have a key fob, but you only use that for getting under the seat and the steering lock. We'll show you where the steering lock is in the static review, but let's say it's not as accessible as it could be due to the body styling stuff. Okay, it's in the normal position, it's just that they've covered it in a piece of bodywork. But that's sort of a minor little thing. Okay. Right, so as you can see, we're cruising along at 40. We're still in mode 1, by the way. This will get you to about 43 in eco mode. And then obviously mode 2 will get you to, I think it's 60. And then mode 3 all the way up to 75, which is what we'll do in a sec as we're nearly there. Okay. Weight of the bike is now 153 kilos, which is getting on towards twice the weight of something like a little TC, Super Soccer TC. So not particularly light, but it's very easy to manoeuvre, I have to say, and you have got a reverse gear, so all good. Interestingly, on one of the stats, it says maximum weight 75 kilos plus 75 kilos, so 150 kilos in total. Obviously something to consider if you're of the larger stature, let's say. Okay. It's also 2.03 meters long, which is pretty normal, really. Wouldn't say much about that. Standard sort of width, about 75 on the handlebars, and the mirrors stick out a little bit more. You'll notice, hopefully, that there's a little petrol light that came on when I stopped, or as I'm braking. That is regen. And on Super Soccer bikes in general, when the regen kicked in, you used to hear sort of like a click, click, click. It doesn't do that on this bike, but you do feel it. You do feel the regen kicking in. Also, as you can see, quite sprightly, we're now in mode 2. There's our 40. It has 17-inch wheels, and they've put on it Pirelli tyres. So a first for them, and other than Silence, the first for a bike that we do, or second for the bike that we do, that comes with Pirellis as standard. These are 17-inch wheels. It also has ABS, which was one of the things that delayed it. It was going to come without ABS and without Pirellis, but Vmoto UK had said that's what they wanted. Okay, so that's what actually slowed down the delivery of this bike. So Pirelli tyres is obviously a good thing. It will make the ride a lot better. Okay, so 17-inch Pirellis on front and back, and ABS. Okay. While we're sort of just getting to our spot, colours are this blue, which is a very nice blue, as you can see, and something which they originally called King Kong Black. No idea. It's just called black. But that was the original choice when it was announced, well, it showed off last time at Birmingham. They said, yeah, the colour's going to be King Kong Black, but luckily they didn't keep that. The bike is on the grant, so the 6599, which is actually 7099 RRP. So you will get the 3-year battery warranty and the 2-year warranty on the bike itself from Olev. So we claim that back for you. You don't need to do that. So 6599 is the price you pay plus OTR. Okay, and then your choices are King Kong Black or black and the blue. One of the big points about this bike happens to be the name. And why was it called Stash? And the reason for that was that you could stash stuff away underneath the lid, which is true. There is a decent amount of storage under the lid. There are sort of review sites that talk about putting a full-faced helmet under the lid. It doesn't take a large one like the one I'm wearing, and it also doesn't take a large one like my mechanic is wearing. So the only ones we could really get in there easily are open face. So I would be a little bit cautious, I suppose, about assuming that you're going to get your helmet into under the seat. Okay. So what we're going to do now is what we normally do, onto our test track, and we'll just talk a little bit more about the bike, and then we'll give it a go down to the far end. Okay, so we're pulled up at our normal spot, and obviously first thing I wanted to show you is actually what is under the lid. This lid is actually see-through. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's actually a bit see-through. So you can obviously see in there that what you've got. There's the 12 volt, 14 volt battery underneath that, and this is your storage space. So again, the helmet I'm wearing would not fit in here, nor would the same sort of helmet, flip helmet of my mechanic, fit in here. So you might still end up needing a rack after all. Okay, the way you get onto that is obviously through unlocking it down there. Okay, so I think we've covered the dash. We're going to do a static review, so you'll see a lot more to it. This was the thing I was mentioning about the full beam. So the full beam, you actually flick that forward. You see now it's full beam. Okay, which interesting. And then that's your flasher, doing it that way. Okay, you've got something called boost mode, which we'll give a go. Cruise control, and then you get into the menu. So here they're talking about scanning your phone like all Vmotos do, Super Soccos do, so you can then track the bike with the GPS unit built in, etc, etc. And then you've got all of these things, which again we'll go through a static review. Display, that's changed you'll see the alternative display in a minute. Language, obviously, metric, and imperial, I think that's supposed to mean your phone system, to connect your phone to it, units of temperature, tyre pressure learning. So it has got the ability to remotely tell you about the tyre pressure, which is obviously a good thing. Okay, and that's it. And then this is the alternative display that you've got. A couple of choices. You probably only obviously said it once, and then that'll be that. But you do have these two options here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to nip down to the end at Staines, turn around, come back, put the times up. We'll try it in mode 3. We'll give the boost mode a go. From reading, it seems to me that the boost mode is only going to add on 3 miles per hour anyway. So it goes from 120 kilometers to 125 kilometers an hour, which, okay, 3 miles an hour. I guess with the silence, you were talking about 6 miles an hour boost. So I'm not sure if 3 miles an hour is going to make so much difference. Maybe it's how it delivers it will change that. But we'll give it a go and then see how we got on. Okay, be back in a sec. Okay, so we're going to whiz down here as we normally do, see what happens, give boost mode a try, and see how we get on. So let's go. 20, 30, 40, 50. 60, nearly 70, 70, 71. Okay, so 72. I have to say it's not totally clear to me that the boost mode, how to engage it, how long it lasts for. It's not in the manual, but still 72. Within the margin of error for 70 mile an hour road, and we'll go back and see what happens on the way back. Pretty impressive anyway. I mean, clearly this now makes it a sort of motorway capable bike. We'll just give it another blast down here in mode 2. Okay, let's go. .56 in mode 2, 56, 59. Okay, so 43 miles an hour in mode 1, 59 in mode 2, and 72-ish in mode 3. That's what you're going to get out of it, and that's with the boost, I would say. I mean, look at the regen. I mean, look at that. It's clearly it's not quite as aggressive as a Segway E300, but even so, you can definitely feel it contributing, which you didn't really do on any of the other Vmoto bikes. Okay. Right. So in summary, then, 6599 as of today, as far as I understand it. 14.4 kilowatt max, 9 kilowatt nominal, fixed battery, 74 volt, 97 amp hours, 5.5 hour charging, not type 2 charging. You have a 20 amp charger provided, which goes into the same sort of slot that you've all seen before on TCs and TC Maxes. Actually, it looks like a TC Wanderer Pro connector there, but a 20 amp charger, not a 15 amp charger, so they've increased that, but 5.5 hours, 7.1 kilowatt hours of maximum capacity. 2 colours, black and blue. It's on the grant. Top speed seems to be about 72 miles an hour. You'll see the times up for how it gets there when we put this up on our YouTube channel. Definitely a step up from a TC Max. Definitely a good choice if you want something more than a TC Max, and you've got, I wouldn't say long trips on a motorway, but certainly a trip that would involve a motorway to work and things like that is now sort of within your reach. Pirelli tyres, 17-inch wheels. There is a rack coming, which I think is going to be a good thing because it doesn't take a full face helmet, not a large one anyway. So it's going to need a rack. 150 kilo carrying capacity in terms of rider and passenger. 152 kilograms of weight. What don't I like about it? You know, if I was being really picky, this little button, I flicked it a couple of times accidentally, the high beam button. Not such a great fan of that. The access to the steering lock is fiddly. It's a bit like a Vogue ER10 sort of fiddly. I do wonder how this 14 volt battery is going to stand up to being left uncharged, because that has been a sort of bane of other bikes that have these extra batteries. They don't have a lot of capacity in them, and so if you go away on holiday, the chances are that they go flat. Unlike the main lithium-ion batteries, these are little less lead-acid batteries. And I think all in all, it is a good step up from a TC Max, that's for sure. And obviously 6,600 plus OTR is still a good price when your next option is going to be a Zero, even though it's in a different class, I grant, but £5,000 more at least for a Zero. I'll leave you to judge that. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Certainly interesting to ride it for the first time. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Green-Mopeds, for this and other reviews. This bike is available to test ride and obviously buy now. And please feel free to contact us if you want to do that. And thanks very much.